and drew his prize to Regieleki. That is pretty terrible. He does play the one Astral Radiance Regieleki, but this Evolving Skies Regieleki is really one of his main attackers in this matchup, something he would love to get up and running, as it can hit the Flying Pikachu V for a pretty easy KO, because that is going to be one of Drew's biggest outs in this matchup. If Tyler gets up and running, Flying Pikachu VMax, its effect of its attack says it cannot be damaged by basic Pokemon.
Oh no.
So that is going to be really hard for Drew. His best chance is going to be using Boss's Orders to bring up and take down that Flying Pikachu V before it can become a VMax, or maybe hit the VMax before it's able to attack. And with he's not going to be able to do that with these Elekis in the prizes.
Exactly. It hurts the early aggression, the early tempo that this deck needs so much. Fortunately, running 3 Regieleki, but at the very least, we'll have to see if the setup can be completed. We've got the Ultra Ball discarding a couple energies, getting those in the discard pile, sets up for the Ancient Wisdom. Tyler starting off with Arceus V, and who knows, these Arceus decks, when they were in their prime, we saw them time and time again. You know, 6 out of 8 top 8 slots were some sort of Arceus variant. We've seen on stream that they can brick. They can draw very poorly, miss that turn 1 energy attachment, really struggle to get started. But Drew, seeing through the deck now, recognizes the importance of that one Regieleki.
Yes, that is very sad news to see. Drew is playing 1 copy of Hisuian Heavy Ball, so that is a change from his list in Peoria. he did not play Hisuian Heavy Ball in the Peoria Regional Championships just a couple weekends ago, so those 2 Elekis being in the prizes maybe not going to be as bad as long as he can find that one of item card.
I love the path to the peak as well, trying to slow Tyler's development down as much as possible.
Yeah, that'll turn off the Lumineon V and Crobat V that Tyler plays, so really could buy a turn as well. This is a little bit of an awkward hand from Tyler. There's a lot of Pokemon.
Just the attach and pass.
He has the Marnie in hand, but chose not to play it because he is sitting on the Arceus V-Star already in his hand. He doesn't want to put that on the bottom of the deck and then risk maybe not drawing into an Arceus V-Star. Wants to guarantee it and then go with a Marnie on the next turn.
And you can tell Tyler is really comfortable in this matchup, right? The Regis are coming down, the assembly is happening, but without the Aurora energies in the discard pile, Tyler knows that there isn't any real threat at this moment. But here comes the Heavy Ball finally, Chip.
Gonna
get that Regieleki out of the prizes to complete this setup.
Yeah, that is something Drew is going to be very thankful to see. Regieleki coming down. A big miss for Tyler last turn as he was unable to find a Flying Pikachu V. All he did was attach and pass. I actually think he has a Research in hand, so that might be what he's eyeing up as opposed to the Marnies.
Yeah, there is one VMax in the hand. It would be terrible to discard that, unfortunately. But we'll see. You know, he's got the V-Star. Maybe he can bump this path with something. Is he running any counter stadiums? I think he's also on path, actually.
He is. He does have the 1 copy of Pumpkaboo.
Pumpkaboo. Okay, so he's got the tech.
Yeah, that is a card we see in these Arceus decks quite a bit these days, just as a way to search it out with Quick Ball or Ultra Ball and be able to remove Path to the Peak and then ideally put your own path back in play.
Yeah, that's
not
always
that's
so
gonna
rude.
Matter. Yeah, right.
when you bump the path, get your value in, and then you slam another one, close the door behind you on the way out.
Yeah.
Regidrago can use that Dragon Sword, draw back up to 4 cards. We got a Bruno in the hand for Drew.
Pretty interesting card. We've seen this in Regi lists in the past, though it's something that I think most players have kind of moved away from. Drew seems to still like the card. You can shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 4 cards, but if your opponent knocked a Pokemon out during their last turn, you get to shuffle in and draw 7, which is a pretty solid effect, but only at certain times of the game.
Yeah, so just passes back, just trying to build up the foundation here. The Regis are all assembled. Now we need the Aurora energies. Tyler now springing the trap of the Marnie. Going to look through the list after the V-Star's already been put down as you anticipated, Chip. Wants to get this evolution down.
Needs the double turbo. There's a medal, and the double turbo
the
was
last
the 5th card.
Okay, we're back in business.
Massive, massive hit, and the Ultra Ball could find the Pumpkaboo here. Pumpkin Pit, get that Path to the Peak out of here, and then use that Arceus V-Star's Star Birth V-Star power to just get more set up. Maybe finding a supporter for the next turn, because otherwise I think Tyler's not sitting on much, and potentially a Flying Pikachu V.
Yeah, if we can get the Pumpkaboo to bump that path, get the Flying Pikachu V. Once we get this Trinity Nova, that's already going to be set up and ready to go, and we'll just have to somehow find that Flying Pikachu VMax once more.
And Starbirth does come out. I expect this to grab probably just Professor's Research and Flying Pikachu V. Seems like two pretty straightforward choices. That last card in hand is the Arceus V, so I think the Pikachu, the Arceus will both come down, and Research will be held onto as that last card in hand, most likely.
Yeah,
could be a Marnie potentially, but...
Yeah, Tyler didn't get like an early Bidoof to set up the Bibarel, so it is a bit awkward, right? You have to kind of forsake your foundational setup, your, your consistent card draw to just get your main attacker in play. As you talked about, Chip, getting that Flying Pikachu VMax down with that max balloon attack is so important in this Regi matchup.
Actually, I'm not quite sure if I saw that right. Tyler might have grabbed a double turbo energy. That would be a little interesting. I don't think that makes much sense, especially with powering up the 3 energies on the Pikachu. But no Dunsparce or anything like that in Tyler's list, so Drew could very likely get a one-hit KO on the Arceus V-Star this turn.
Oh yeah, the Regirock. You know, it's one of the most underrated Regis. You know, usually it's all about the Gigas. The ice comes through in certain matchups, and the Alecki doing a lot of the heavy lifting. But Regirock can come through with that. Sometimes, you know, he's just Regigate. There is no other text on the card. It's like if your setup is that bad, if you're breaking like a madman.
I have seen many players utilize Regigate.
Just the Regigate. Yes. But here comes Giga Impact potentially.
He needs to find the Regidrago now on the other end of this research.
Oh,
and
beautiful.
Does discard 2 Aurora Energy. That is exactly what Drew wants to see. Only piece missing now is that Regidrago. Any quick ball will do. You know what? Why not just draw into the Regidrago just like that? Not even have to quick ball for it.
So now the setup is fully complete. Ancient Wisdom is online. Regigigas can attach 3 energies from the discard pile to any other Pokemon of his choice. Now we've got the 2 Aurora there we just saw, and then just 1 more Gift Energy.
And that is a huge card that came out of the newest Lost Origin expansion. A big buff for the Regigigas deck, something that players immediately threw in because it just gives you consistent card draw after your Pokemon get KO'd.
Yeah, once the Pokemon goes down, you draw all the way back up to 7. So now we've got 2 prizes going over to Drew Kennet, getting the first knockout of this best of 3.
Awkward top deck in the Bibarel. There's no Bidoof setup like you mentioned, and this is a huge turn for Tyler. He needs to find a Flying Pikachu VMAX. If he's unable to do so through an Evolution Incense or an Ultra Ball, it looks like is able to find it. That would have been a really big whiff, but you know what? No problem. Let's get that Pikachu floating into the active, and Regirock will go down, and Drew's options are going to be quite limited.
Yeah, especially after the research was just played, the Gift Energy, not going to do a whole lot here. You have the opportunity to maybe boss and hunt down this Pumpkaboo, but then Flying Pikachu VMAX is still in the active. And it'll just promote and start max ballooning, and there's just no more prizes that Drew's going to be able to take.
This is Drew's best option at this point, going with the Blizzard Bind of the Reg Ice. It does 100 damage, or in this instance, no damage, but its effect will still work. If the defending Pokemon is a Pokemon V, it can't attack during your opponent's next turn. So Drew's going to try to go in with this Blizzard Bind, and if Tyler's unable to pull off the Max Balloon through some sort of retreat switch type plays, then that's an opportunity for Drew to come in and find a way to get a one-hit KO, maybe with the Regigigas.
Yeah, the Flying Pikachu VMAX does have free retreat, but the Pumpkaboo is a different matter. We'll have to maybe this... Was he predicting this far ahead when he grabbed that double turbo?
No, he did end up grabbing the research. I did see that one wrong, and the research was played pretty promptly on the last turn, which is the card I was expecting him to grab in the first place. The hand here off of the research, though, was not the best. He got the other Flying Pikachu VMAX, a couple of Path to the Peaks as well.
3 Path to the Peak, I think, in the hand.
So he'll be relying on, I believe, a Marnie pretty heavily this coming turn.
So Ancient Wisdom does power up the Regi Ice, going to get that Blizzard Bind down. If anything, this will provide Drew a few more turns to think of another strategy here. We've got Evolution Incense. Doesn't look like anything going on here. And again, this is about how Tyler missed that step of getting the Bidoof set up. Wanted to get this Flying Pikachu down, and now it just has to Evolution Incense, thin out the Bibarel, hopefully find a Bidoof here soon, get some extra draw power to get out of this situation.
I think Tyler's just playing this Evolution Incense for the Bibarel to put it on the bottom of the deck. He's got a Marnie in hand. The Bibarel's not a card he would like to draw, so put it on the bottom with the Marnie. It's still in your deck. You'll have access to it potentially later on.
Just a small efficiency here, making sure that your next draws are going to be as good as possible.
Tyler does play one copy of Swish, and something he would love to try to establish as well is the second Flying Pikachu V, because if you can get 2 Flying Pikachu VMax up and running, the whole strategy of Blizzard Bind really just does not work. So that's going to be Tyler's hope here.
Does find a Bidoof.
And also finds the Crobat. That is a big pickup.
Yeah, there is no Path to the Peak in play currently. Tyler had bumped that with the Pumpkaboo, but hadn't put down a second one yet.
There's a Flying Pikachu V and the VMax both in the deck. Looks like that is brought to the front and will be benched. I think the other card was an Energy. I know there's definitely the Crobat in hand. Tyler really going to be hoping to find a Switch here. If he can find a Switch, that one single copy that he plays in this deck, that would be massive.
With the thinning down of the hand into the Crobat V, I think it's a very high chance that Tyler will be able to get it. Right now, just looking through the discard pile from Drew, checking out the resources here. Very careful, methodical play, of course. These Arceus decks are known for that. Double Turbo attached to the Pumpkaboo. And so Crobat,
the full
for
6. And does find the Switch. Huge, huge hit for Tyler. Will reset this effect from the Blizzard Bind because as of now, the Flying Pikachu in the active could not attack. The Switch does allow it to come through. Of course, Drew but gets to activate that Gift Energy, draw 3 cards. Regice goes down, and now he gets to choose what to promote.
And with a Flying Pikachu V now onto the bench, this is going to be another VMax potentially, and we can just keep free retreating over and over again, Chip, to cleanse a secondary Blizzard Bind.
Yeah,
Regigigas does have the Gigaton break to come through and strike against a VMax Pokemon.
Yeah, but can't hit into the Pikachu at this point because of that Max Balloon effect. I'm really kind of confused by the decision from Tyler to attach the Double Turbo to the Pumpkaboo as opposed to the Flying Pikachu, because a Regice attack this turn is something that Tyler probably won't be able to get out of because he's played the 1 copy of Switch in his deck already. So by not attaching to the Flying Pikachu, there's no way for you to retreat and then retreat again. You can only retreat once per turn in the Pokemon TCG. So if he had attached the Double Turbo Energy, he leaves himself an option to find a Lightning Energy and a Flying Pikachu VMax and just pivot into the other attacker. But by putting it on the Pumpkaboo, this does leave a little bit of an opening for Drew to still have a route.
We'll see if Drew's able to capitalize on that. At this point, you know, any small play that you make that gives your opponent an avenue to victory, they're going to pursue that full force. Drew's been very consistent with, you know, chaining these researches and now the Brunos together to see so much of the deck and have access to these options that you're going to need.
And the 4 energies to the discard pile, the massive 4 retreat cost of Regigigas, but it's all good. Bring some energies right back with Ancient Wisdom, and it looks like we're going with the Blizzard Bind once again. There will be no damage put into play, but the effect will go through. The defending Pokemon V, which does include Pokemon VMax, will not be able to attack.
And if you miss out on that turn of reestablishing the protection of Max Balloon, this is the window that Drew is hoping for.
And I think Tyler's hand is actually a little awkward. Okay, does have the Marnie. This is his one way to kind of see some more cards. Hoping for a little bit of help here.
Yeah, trying to get that second Flying Pikachu VMax. Maybe another Double Turbo Energy just to keep the board, you know, resilient towards being trapped in the active, having that consistent retreat option.
Yeah, Tyler might just have to retreat into Pumpkaboo here and pass the turn over to Drew. And if Drew could maybe pull off a Boss's Orders Regigigas attack, that would be absolutely massive. His hand, though, I don't think is the strongest. He does only play 1 single copy of Boss's Orders, so his way to really efficiently deal with these Pikachus is going to be through that Boss and the Gigas. And if he can maybe draw into the 1 boss off of a Speed Lightning, that would maybe be his out here.
Yeah, so just thinking about his options here, looking at the deck, what are my odds of drawing into it if I go for that play?
I think he does have the double twin energy available. Also can use the Regieleki, go in with the Terra Spark. It would knock out the Pumpkaboo and put 40 damage on both of the Flying Pikachu on the bench, so sets them up to be knocked out a little easier later on, but this is maybe Drew's only chance to actually pull off an attack this game.
Hopefully it does come through. I mean, the Ancient Wisdom, everything is online. Speed Lightning to draw 2 cards.
There's the
Trekking shoes. Okay, we can look a little bit deeper. We're still hoping for boss's orders here, Chip.
Really the card that he would love to see. I'm wondering if it got hit the discard pile already at some point in this game. I don't notice it in there. Alecki goes to the discard pile, and Bruno was the draw. It looked like a boss, but it was the Bruno instead.
Terrible shame. I know that there have been a lot of Regi decks, especially in the past, running a couple copies of boss, running escape ropes, things like that. But this one, yeah, just going to be research. Because Drew does have the option for the Terra Spark play, is just going to have to take the big risk of letting this Pikachu VMax survive for one more turn.
We'll take one prize with the Pumpkaboo, and then you go to 3 remaining. So, I mean, this is actually okay for Drew, setting up both of these Pikachu on the bench. Tyler can only attack with one of them. So by getting this KO here, going to 3 prizes, he can set up for a boss's orders cleanup play in a future turn, potentially.
All right, Pokestop.
Loses a Marnie, but gets a couple good cards, the Quick Ball and the Ordinary Rod. Not great here, but we'll need them to recover Pokemon later.
That is very risky with the Pokestop. Already looking for that boss's orders, maybe having a chance to lose it here.
Yep. And as long as it wasn't discarded, I don't believe it was in the prize cards, so it should be around in the deck somewhere. Let's see when he plays this Quick Ball if we can get a peek and see if that boss is indeed hanging around still. It is right there on the bottom.
It's at the bottom,
yep.
Yeah.
Something he would love to find at some point. This is going to be Drew's strategy, and he's got a couple of turns to do it. Tyler is sitting on 3 prize cards remaining, meaning that there will need to be 3 more turns, 3 knockouts to happen. So that's the timer that Drew is on at this point. He has found a way to kind of find a path to victory in this match. Knock out Pumpkaboo, knock out Arceus V-Star, and then find a way to get through one Flying Pikachu VMax.
Also, thinning down the hand as much as possible is super important. Setting up for the gift energies that you're reattaching with the Ancient Wisdom. Just keep drawing more and more cards out of the deck. So far, 34 minutes left in the round. This is still the first game, Chip. Drew needs this first win because we know that game number 2 is also going to go long.
2 energies to the active. One of them, of course, being that gift energy. Terra Spark incoming very, very soon. It will discard both these Speed Lightnings. KO that Pumpkaboo and 40 damage on each of these Pikachu.
So one more prize taken. A little bit closer to victory for Drew Kennet. Tyler, in the meantime, does have the wall of Flying Pikachu VMax established. Just replays the path to the peak, has the Ultra Ball thinning the hand down even further, and just needs to hope that Drew does not have a way to pivot out of this.
Just grabbing the Aegis / VMax. I think Marnie's that last card in hand. So once again, similar to what we saw with the Bibarel, just wanting to put that on the bottom of the deck. Doesn't want to draw into it off of the 5 cards for Marnie.
And now after the Marnie comes through, Drew might draw into the boss's orders. If Tyler does take the knockout this turn, has to. The gift energy is going to activate. Drew's going to draw even more cards. This isn't about denying the resources. It's about the disruption and also allowing Tyler to see a little bit more of the deck.
And Drew did find the boss's orders and also found an Ultra Ball and also gets to fill this hand up with the gift energy. So he should, I think, be able to close this out here as long as there are enough energies in the discard pile. I think he drew into an energy anyway, so he doesn't even necessarily need both twins, and he's pulling the cards to the front. Yeah, Drew, he's got it here. Draw for turn. Quick Ball as the top deck works as well. Can go fetch out the Regi Alecki, put it onto the bench, and boss's orders in hand can bring up the Flying Pikachu VMax. That is on Tyler's bench. Ancient Wisdom puts the energies in play, and Drew Kennet finds a way in an unlikely and a tough matchup to win game number 1.
Eating what Tyler's starting Pokemon is here. Nothing too shabby in the prizes, though. Gift energy, speed lightning, a little bit of draw power gone out of the equation here.
Absolutely. A little awkward, but nothing too terrible.
Ooh, and starts off with the Flying Pikachu V. This is going to change the texture of the matchup quite drastically.
Doesn't have an energy card in hand, though, so I think Tyler's going to be relying on the Crobat to draw cards here, most likely, and hope to find an energy attachment. If you whiff an energy attachment with Arceus V-Star, it's not great in pretty much any matchup, let alone against a matchup like this where you're playing a single prize deck and you really need to start taking prizes every single turn.
Yeah, the Regi deck forces your opponent into sometimes a very uncomfortable game plan where they have to play at a faster pace than they aren't really built to do or aren't anticipating. We do have the double Flying Pikachu V set up now. beautifully thinning down the hand for this Crobat, however, and it's just a matter of finding energies now.
Yeah, chose actually not to grab the Crobat, getting the Flying Pikachu. The Crobat was in the deck. Didn't get that off the Ultra Ball, so maybe there was an energy hiding there in that hand, or maybe Tyler is okay just not attaching this turn and wants to eye up the Trinity Charge as an option on the following turn, potentially.
It's difficult to say. It's very difficult. Yeah, Flying Pikachu V just going to pass here. No attachment for the turn. We do have the VMax in the hand we saw there from Tyler. And Drew opening up with the Trekking Shoes.
Great card to just start hiking on through the deck, discard a few cards, try to find yourself some draw power. And Drew has actually found all 4 Quick Balls here on the opening turn. 3 in the hand, 1 got discarded from the Trekking Shoes. Quick Ball away, a Quick Ball, and I think we'll see that last one hit the discard pile as well.
Yeah, the Quick Balls really come in handy, especially late game where you just need to repair your setup by finding 1 Regi. Using them early to get the initial setup might be a little bit awkward come late game, but if Andrew is thinking along the same lines we are, Chip, of needing to be much more aggressive and tempo-oriented in this match, it's probably fine to expend a lot of resources early just to get that initial advantage.
Now, Drew did start this Regidrago from Evolving Skies. It's not the Regidrago from Astral Radiance that most players really lean on. He does play a 2-1 split, 2 from the Astral Radiance expansion, 1 from Evolving Skies. And this one is a great attacking option as it deals 240 damage with a Choice Belt, of course, boosting to 270. So you can knock out things like Hisuian Zoroark V-Star if there's a Dunsparce in play. So it's a nice little tech, though I will say in this matchup, maybe a little questionable. Starting it here does technically open up the door for a possible turn 1 knockout, but it's pretty unlikely. It's so hard for this Regi deck to pull off an attack on the first turn.
Yeah, so many
though
discards
it is possible, yeah,
already, but still no energy in the discard.
It does need to be 3 Aurora energies as well to attack with the Regidrago, so that makes it even more unlikely.
The Aurora energies are always the missing piece of the puzzle, it seems. Regieleki has to do so much work early because of the speed lightning energy. It's just that great energy that you can attach and draw cards with. Yes. The Aurora, it can become clunky, especially if you can't line them up with the Quick Balls now to discard them. We now need to have manual attachments forcing you to discard extra cards. It can get pretty muddy in the mid-game.
Trekking Shoes can see another couple of cards here, potentially ditching the research, finding an Ordinary Rod. I still don't see any energy cards in this hand, which is pretty funny, but the Hisuian Heavy Ball grab can fetch out that Regice that's in the prizes. There's already a Regice on the board, but might as well get this out of the prizes while you can.
Yep, just going to find that, get a look at the prizes, going to take one last glance. Sees the Speed Lightning is in there, sees the Gift Energy is in there. So Drew sculpting now a game plan. Knows you have to be aggressive, lacking the Aurora energies now, recognizes there's not a lot of card draw available. And we saw the pass on that second Professor's Research from the Trekking Shoes. So the setup needs to be completed here pretty quickly, because I imagine if Tyler gets any sort of swings in, starts knocking out these Regis, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for Drew to reestablish the Regi setup.
Drew does get all 6 Regis up and running, but 0 energy cards in the discard pile, like you mentioned, Adam. So no option for the Ancient Wisdom usage. Over on Tyler's side, the evolution to the Flying Pikachu VMAX and the Marnie coming through, looking for a little bit of help, maybe hopefully finding an energy card.
Yeah, the only Regi that was in the hand was just Regice, and with 4 cards and a little bit of help, 1 Aurora in the hand. Okay, we're almost in business, Chip. 1/3 of the way there.
Tyler was able to get into double turbo energy, so Trinity Charge is an option. Can put one of the 2 lightning energies in the deck on each of these Pikachu, and then set up the other one with a 1 metal, and one of them's ready to go with maybe a double turbo, something like that.
Beautiful. Yeah, and of course the double turbo is great in this matchup because you're more concerned with just the effects of the attacks you're swinging in with. This is a very utilitarian list. You're just adapting to whatever your opponent doesn't like is what you're going to try to put down.
Even with double turbo attached, Flying Pikachu can knock out almost everything in Drew's deck. It deals 160 damage, minus 20 for the double turbo, so 140 knocks out all of the Regis except for Regidrago, and that was just a pass from Drew Kennet off of Tyler's Marnie. Looks like he was unable to get much help rolling here.
Yeah, just has that Aurora energy in hand, but if you manually attach it to a Pokemon, you have to discard from your hand. The rest of the cards may be a little bit too precious right now, and this is giving Tyler a massive window to run away with this game. We've got the Flying Pikachu VMAX now in the active. Potential for V-Star to be found, maybe get that Starbirth to really solidify the position.
And Tyler uses boss's orders as well to target down a Regice. This is really smart for a couple of reasons. Number one, Regice is very annoying to deal with as the Pikachu deck. Number two, Tyler just saw Drew take the Regice off the heavy ball, so he knew that that was in Drew's last hand, and then Marnie put that Regice on the bottom of the deck, and Drew is down 4 copies of Quick Ball, so finding the other copy of Regice is going to be pretty tough. Tyler just going to keep on swinging here with the Flying Pikachu VMax, Max Balloon turn after turn. Drew is going to concede this game.
Yeah, just too many bad draws in a row. Situation of the way players adapt to day 2, to Sunday. They start adopting these riskier, maybe more aggressive strategies from what we saw in the openings of the Swiss rounds, because these wins become even more important once you get a better idea of where the bubble is and what the rest of the field is looking like. Drew setting up now with the trekking shoes. Has one Aurora in the hand, looking a little bit more well-rounded on the start here.
Has a Speed Lightning and a Professor's Research as well. So while the Research cannot be played this turn, Ultra Ball could fetch the Alecki out of the deck. Speed Lightning could draw a handful of cards. But that one boss's orders is in the hand for Drew. That is really awkward and a painful card to lose right away. He was debating between discarding that and the Choice Belt. I guess assuming that he's likely going to have to play Research next turn. But Tyler's deck plays 4 Marnie and a Judge as supporter options. If you just hang on to that boss's orders, there's a chance your opponent's going to put it back into the deck for you.
I think that it's a very agonizing decision. We saw how important that boss's orders was in game number 1. Drew maybe thinks that the scenario that had happened in that game to get into the corner where you need boss's orders to close out just wasn't going to happen here.
Tyler's hand is terrible. Lysander, Path to the Peak, and 4 energy cards. He has absolutely nothing working. As of now, depending on what his top deck is, he's just going to go attach and pass. And that is a massive opportunity for Drew while starting the Regirock here to try to get a turn 2 KO. Tyler is just hoping that there is something helpful on this top deck.
Yeah, and with Regirock, you need 2 Aurora Energies to pay that cost.
Let's see what this top deck is. It's an Arceus. Okay, so that's at least a Pokemon you won't lose out right away, but this hand is absolutely dreadful.
It's okay. We're just going to manually attach. We're going to start throwing down that Power Edge chip. It's okay.
Oh, gosh. Well, Drew, with that defensive boss from Tyler, he recognizes the situation. All right, my opponent has a tough opening. Let me see how I can capitalize. He did discard a Scoop Up Net already, so he'll be looking for another one of those to get this Regirock out of the active. Research does discard the Gift Energy, which is great, but losing the 2 Ordinary Rods could be awkward.
All right, back up to 7. I love that Drew always double checks the 7 before looking at that hand.
Yeah, that's actually because in the finals of Salt Lake, he got a double prize penalty for drawing too many extra cards. So I think especially on the stream, he's going to be extra careful to make sure he knows exactly how many cards are hitting his hand.
And now Ice being found, even without the, we can see the Regieleki being established. If we don't hit the perfect sequence of getting the Aurora Energies in the discard pile with the Regigigas, we can still start sprinkling some damage down with the Regieleki.
And I think Drew has it here. I'm pretty sure, is there not a Gigas in hand? Oh no, it was the Registeel, so he's missing the Regigigas. Could have gotten the Regidrago up and running here off the Quick Ball. I thought the Gigas was hiding, but I think it was that Registeel. He has the Scoop Up Net in hand, so we might be relying on a Dragon's Horde to fill this hand a little bit.
If anything, Drew's deck does have tons of card draw. Even with a few of those pieces being the prizes last game, we know that he's consistently sequenced throughout this entire set to look at least 4 cards every single turn, it feels like.
I think Drew's planning to thin this hand all the way down and Dragon's Horde for 4 cards. He's got the Aurora Energy remaining in the hand. He's got a Regirock and an Ordinary Rod set up. So
already clearing space, preparing for the Gigas. I like to see it. And the Aurora, again, when you manually attach, you discard another card from your hand.
So he's going to lose the Regirock, play the Ordinary Rod right away, bringing back Regirock and the Registeel. Dragon's Horde will get the full 4 cards, but with this attachment to the active Regidrago, I mean, Drew does still technically leave the out in order to attack with Regirock this turn. If he draws into his 1 Air Balloon or another Scoop Up Net and the Regigigas, he could pull off the Regirock attack still.
A lot of things need to happen, and it all rides on these next 4 draws. Tyler Mccutchan cutting the deck and sealing his fate.
There's
Scoop up net, quick ball, Gigas.
I think that this is going to lead to a KO here for Drew. Here comes the Gigas. Scoop up net will send this Aurora energy to the discard pile. There's already one down, and the gift energy.
Oh, yes.
Drew has somehow found his way into a KO this turn for 2 prizes.
Unbelievable. The setup is complete. The Regibox comes back into the active with the scoop up net. 4 cards, exactly what he needed, Chip. There's the attachment with Ancient Wisdom, and Regibox comes swinging through with Giga Impact for weakness.
Exactly what Drew wanted to see, and Tyler needing some help. It is an Ultra Ball, which technically keeps you in for a little bit longer. You can get another basic Pokemon, but because Tyler attached an energy to his active Arceus and it got KO'd, there is no opportunity for him to go for a Trinity Nova here. Oh, he does actually play 1 copy of Raihan, so that's his way here that he could pull off an attack still. Ultra Ball, go get the Arceus V-Star, V-Star for the Raihan, Raihan get the energy, so on and so forth. Pull off the attack still this turn, so that's really going to be Tyler's one opportunity.
And with Raihan and Starbirth working in tandem, we can sort of, get a reestablishment here. Get the flying Pikachu down, try to hang on by a thread. But Tyler just needs to sequence this correctly. Double checking the prizes. Yeah, the Raihan's still in there.
Yeah, still available in the deck. So you effectively get access to 3 cards this turn, one of them being the Raihan, and then you get another card from the Starbirth, and you get another card from the Raihan. So establishing a Pikachu seems good, and then probably just grabbing a supporter for the next turn. This is still going to be an uphill battle, though, for Tyler. Anytime your start is as weak as this one was, you're going to have a hard time fighting back in the game. We'll see what he wants to do, how he wants to make this happen.
Yeah, favored matchup can only go so far, Chip. It all comes down to how the cards play out. You have to play out the match. And Drew Kennet, just being rewarded by just conceding early in Game 2, keeping his eyes on the prize, trying to play towards that win, and ensuring that there is plenty of time on the clock for Game 3 to make this a W and not a draw. And we saw even with Tyler using the Ultra Ball, taking the additional time to look through the deck, was already thinking about what to grab off of the Raihan, the Starbirth, but actually just grabs the Crobat here.
Yeah, not going with the Raihan strategy. Doesn't want to attack with the Arceus this turn, just wants to get his flying Pikachu set up, probably recognizing the fact that Drew has already gone down a boss's orders, most likely only plays the 1 copy, so unlikely that this Pikachu is ever going to be dealt with. So you don't really care, let this Arceus go down. And it actually is a little awkward for Drew because of the text on Regirock as well. Giga Impact, you cannot attack the turn after you use the Giga Impact. You cannot attack the following turn. So Drew's going to need to find another Scoop Up Net, and he's actually, I think, down all 3 copies that he plays already in the discard pile.
And because you can only retreat once, you can send those energies back to the discard pile, and so then reattach them with the Ancient Wisdom.
Right.
But you can't get a second Regirock down.
Yeah, so it won't be a 1-hit KO, but still can get a solid attack off either with the Giant Fangs of the Regidrago, get that active with the Dragon's Horde potentially, or even go with a Terra Spark, set up some damage on your opponent's benched Pokemon. Setting up the Crobat with a couple Terra Sparks could be a path for Drew as well, because he does play the other Regieleki with that targeted Bolt attack, able to deal 120 damage to a benched Pokemon. So after a couple of Terra Sparks from the Evolving Skies Regieleki, Astral Radiance Eleki could come in and clean that one up.
And so Drew is going to be in a much more awkward spot to actually close out this game, even though he has such a strong setup. If this Flying Pikachu VMax starts to wreak havoc, it's a lot less likely that Andrew's going to be able to respond because of that early loss of the boss's orders, foregoing late game utility in exchange for this early game dominance.
And Tyler just got no help from that Crobat and no help from the top deck. There's a double turbo that can go onto the Flying Pikachu V, but nothing else, just a pass.
You can see him shaking his head. He feels so defeated here to be in a favored matchup, to see the opponent brick like that, and then once it comes back around to you, there's just not much you can do, Chip. The choice to get the Crobat versus the Raihan is something that can be hotly debated, but I think the Crobat was the right choice. The likelihood of naturally drawing into something useful off of those 5 cards, especially when Drew had just done it with 4 cards off the Dragon's Horde.
And there is another Terra Spark that sets this Crobat up to be KO'd later on, and even sets up this Flying Pikachu V to be KO'd if it ever was on the bench. The draw for turn from Tyler is just a switch, and he has to pass the turn over. Andrew Kennet will win this game. 2-1, Regigigas standing strong.
Unbelievable. The Regis using the power of friendship to take down one of their, on paper, worst matchups. That Flying Pikachu VMax, we saw how awkward it was for the Regi deck to deal with.